Welcome to the January 2023 tree cutting moon in Gemini. Yes, it's in Gemini. Check your fucking star app, it'll show you. Anyway, we're entering this year with a very intense energy. If you haven't noticed, a lot of the world's going to shit. California is flooding like a motherfucker. It's kind of hilarious. Christmas sucked for everybody. I haven't heard a single good story. But with that all in mind, you gotta keep things on the positive. And with all that, we have to remember that we are what we seek, to go inside and take a little peek. What we are working with this month is actually going to activate and amplify that intensity. For those of you who know, Danburite.
Yeah, it looks perfect.
Danburite is very fast. It's a high heart crown, high crown, and third eye stone. It's very high vibrational and helps to facilitate lucid dreaming. It's a heart healer, activating the intellect, the higher consciousness, and linking into angelic frequencies, serenities, and eternal wisdom. It helps to bring forth deep change while leaving the past behind us. It's a karmic cleanser, releasing miasms and mental imperatives. So anything we do that gets in our own way, Danburite kind of helps us to get rid of it. I refer to it as our higher self in a stone. And it's going to kind of take dead center on this month's grid. So get ready to fly a little bit. Get ready to dream some intense dreams. If you haven't already, I'm surprised. Next, we're adding in something that's more of an assistant than anything else. We are going to be adding in copper, both in these generator formats and then in a raw metallic heavy metal form. Copper is an amplifier, it's a conduit. It moves energy faster than most things we interact with. It helps to transfer it, and at the same time it can ground that energy. So as we're going through this intensity, keeping ourselves grounded is very important. Next, we are shifting over into one of my personal favorites, black kyanite. Black kyanite is a spiritual grounder. It takes all that very high vibrational, high frequency, high intensity energy and grounds it through you. Doesn't really slow it down, but it moves it to where it needs to go and where we need it to be. And that combining in with copper helps to really soothe out and direct that energy, because it's going to be very intense. And if it's going to be intense, we might as well make sure we know where it's going. Be very unsurprised when the dreams become very extreme. That is a big key here, and these dreams are going to interact with our own like karmic paths and karmic lessons and all of the change that we're going through, making sure that it's our change and not our parents' change or government's change and all that other shit that's changing right now, we have no control over. But what we can control over is what we're changing within ourselves. And controlling those karmic lessons in a way that doesn't basically send us into a dark spiral is a really good way to keep yourself healthy. Next, we are shifting over to another spiritual grounder, which is Jet. Jet is also black amber. It's a base and heartstone. It's very, very light. Traditionally has been used to help protect us against entities of darkness, and it's been used that way since back in the Stone Age. It has been used for metaphysical properties and purposes, which is why it's kind of favored by old souls and healers and people who've been doing this work for a long time. And if you have a tendency to get a little tired and worn out, black amber is there to help keep away those denser, unwanted energy. And whenever anything's going through Jet, it tends to slow it down. So we're going to make sure we don't lose any of that energy and information in translation by adding some copper to on top of it. Let's see. Next, we are stepping into some big players, some big personal favorites. This is a type of crystal that if you've ever worked with it, over time, they will tell you their name, which is very interesting. I haven't overly worked with a lot of them, but I do know some of their names. For instance, this here, this is Talaria. It's named after Hermes' shoes. As you can see with these points over here, they look like the feathers coming off of the back of his boots. And then we have Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Yes, they have that name for a reason, because if you play with them separately, they will cause you a bad time. But when you put them together, they tend to work out a little bit smoother. They do their jobs like they're supposed to without causing any excess problems. And their friend, Fred, he makes sure they stay in check. And these crystals here, these are all Elestial Quartz. They are quartz that has formed when formations break and fuse back together. They go by names like self-healed or even skeletal quartz, because there's an internal structure and frame of the times where it has broken and healed and fused back into itself. Like if you look at this one here, this layering of darker layering is something that completely shattered, it looks like, and then was able to heal itself and completely form a casing around it. You have this one, which is also known as Nirvana Quartz, which is formed when the quartz is growing inside of a glacier. so that it moves and it causes all these different etchings and grooves in it. But since it's still growing inside that space, it has no room to expand. So it just grows into itself and heals all those cracks and wounds that are created by that glacial pressure and force. So, Elestial Quartz here is a very great guide through meditation and manifestation, because it helps you to sit back and look at things and see how it all interconnects by watching its karmic path. And that's both good and bad, seeing how things will move when certain actions are taken. It helps you to work through your own personal karma, any past life issues that create these unknown fears or personal blockages that we experience in life that we have no idea where they come from. These like random irrational fears and uncertainties that it's like, I don't know why, but I don't like cats. Cats freak me out. And then you find out that like, oh, like 3 lifetimes ago, you got really sick and was like dying inside of an old apartment in like deep inner New York City, and all the alley cats came in and started eating you before you even died. Like, that fucks you up. And we have no real reason to connect to that other than this was my past life. And our past lives can cause us more problems than we give them credit. So let's put these guys right in here. Let's grab some larger boys. Have them stretch out. These guys. Celestials are a personal favorite of mine. They really help you see deeper into yourself in a way you never thought about. While at the same time, they're each so unique and individually characterized that keep knocking north
to your right.
down.
To your right.
Probably mad I didn't call in the direction, but we can do that later. So,
let's one.
minor technical difficulties. I don't have my normal cameraman. So, next we are working with some desert rose. Desert rose is a form of selenite, and it is believed by Native Americans to help. It's believed to be carved by Native American warriors who have returned from the spirit world to help guide those who are lost and wandering back to that which is sacred. So calling the lost and weary warriors back home. And it helps us to release negative self-imposed belief and programs. It transmutes ancient hatred into love, helping to heal conflict at the source, helping us to receive and give enhanced love, calming emotions, emotional outbursts, as well as being a deep earth healer. So again, as we're seeing with a lot of these stones, there's a lot of past life, karma, and like held on to stuck energy that is being released and let go of. Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of this ancient karma like ancient pains and frustrations that are all going to kind of be let go of. And if that's your focus on releasing, that's what's going to be released. So keep that in mind and keep moving forward. And last but not least, the final loveliness that we are working with is Herkimer Diamonds. Herkimer Diamonds are only found in one place in the world, and that is Herkimer, New York. And they formed this way millions and millions of years ago. And they're basically just regular quartz. But the way that land out there is, they form in a way that they almost always have these double terminations on them. And what is known as a near perfect, like A grade, would be something like this guy. Very uniform, very like defined edges and points, perfect double termination, no inclusions. And it's like this stupid little thing to the right sellers would be like $50. It's kind of stupid, but hey, it's their money. We're gonna just take and add these things. Like some of them can be a little bit on a golden hue, which is a iron inclusion, which normally when iron's added into something, it adds a more grounding type energy. But because it shows up as gold for Herkimer Diamonds, that makes it more of a higher frequency, higher like divine calling. I don't know why I just stood up. I got excited for a second. Then some other ones will have like clay included into them, where clay just smooths out their intensity, where normally they can be very in your face, but it also directs it more towards your solar plexus, which hurts if you're not working that properly. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you can find one that has a bubble on the inside. And when there's bubbles like that, that means there's water inclusion. So this is an anhydro with a phantom carbon, or a carbon phantom inside of it. And anhydros, whenever they show up in any kind of crystal that's water that's inside of it, it indicates that they have a tendency to be more on the emotional side. Very, very much in the feelings when working with an anhydro. So putting it inside of a Herkimer means that energy is sealing up all the karmic wounds that are emotionally tied and structured. We're just gonna slowly bridge these around, connecting this outer circle. And as you can see, a lot of this energy is very focused towards healing aspects of the self that we aren't aware of. But we can feel, and we like they're visceral to us. But it's like you don't know where it's coming from. You don't know why it's there. That's that deep ancestral, like unknown aspects of the self. It's like they're there. We all have them. But do we know why they're there? What's going on with them? What do we have to do with it? No, because no one gives us a fucking instruction book. So a lot of us are doing it ourselves. So a lot of this energy is also kind of pushing us towards finding spiritual assistance and like teachers, mentors. Like this is opening ourselves up to that kind of energy because we can only do so much ourselves. Yes, the information and the knowledge and the wisdom is in us. That doesn't mean we know how to connect to it. It doesn't mean we know how to properly open that channel for ourselves. And there's no shame in having a teacher. Because you'd be surprised the people who have done the things that you're doing now, but years ago. People who have experienced the experiences you've always wanted to, but were afraid to try. We must not trap ourselves into what we think we know and what we think our limitations are. Because that's just self-defeating programming that we put there. No one else put it there. They may have influenced those feelings, but at the end of the day, we put that shit in ourselves. We put that negativity, we put that self-doubt and self-destructive thinking into ourselves. And there may have been a time where that kind of energy was necessary, because that can be very protective when you think about it. Restricting aspects of yourself, you know, that's like teaching a kid not to play with fire, but until you're older, right? You don't start playing with matches until like you can prove that, you know, you're not going to burn the house down. You know, you gotta earn the ability to make those decisions for yourself. It's like trying to figure out quantum physics on your own when you don't even understand the basic structures of physics. Okay. Some of us are smart enough for that. Most of us aren't. It's not saying that you're stupid, it's just that you don't know any better. Not yet, at least. And the only person who can change that is you. Okay, let's see what we got. This is the hard part when something's not quite done yet. But you're not sure what, why, or how.
Don't forget to show them what you're putting down.
This is just some more black kyanite that I'm trying to find where any holes are and fill them up. Giving me a stool was either the best idea or worst idea I've ever had. I have too much fun with it. Shimmy, shimmy, Cocoa Puff. Gonna take our Palo Santo, give it a little fire. Oh wait. Never forget we have candles lit. It's a great way to start a house fire.
What are you doing?
I'm currently sealing in the energy of the grid, getting it cleansed of any potential stuck, I don't know, like just stuckness. If it's not moving, this will help it to move and clear itself out. Set you like that. Now we're going to blend the crystals in together, get them working harmoniously as a group, focusing on their shared purposes, their likened qualities, helping them to focus on why they were brought together, what's going on right now, why is it going on right now. And remembering that if we put barricades in our own way, we're the only one who can remove them. So your own fears, your insecurities, no one can get rid of those but you. Even if you don't know where they came from because they're not from this lifetime. The only one who can break you through this is you. Not that they really need the assistance, this just helps to ground that excess energy down. Make sure that if there is a lot that's flowing, we can handle it. We can work with it. We can maintain it. Yeah. As you can see, it's pretty well harmonized into being grounded already. And just gonna fully take it in. And then lastly, to make sure that the energies that it's bringing in are of the more positive, light-filled, and what's a good way, like harmonious to our path and structure and our own karmic movement. See some sunstone. Screwed up. Yeah, you can put sacred geometry in while spinning pendulums. Don't forget about that. It makes it more fun because it makes the pendulum spin faster. And without further ado, as my brother Chad would say if he were here, it's time to seal the deal.
Add some sound effect to that.
Show you off here. Give you folks an aerial view. It's good energy, folks. It's high frequency, but grounded. Unless we forget the man, the myth, the legend himself, the spirit of the grid on his throne.